Is there any of yourself? I mean, I think I've read one of the other interviews you get that this a part of you is in one of the characters.
Yeah, definitely. The main female character, Hermione, she's a caricature of what I was at 11. A right little know-it-all, you know, but underneath very insecure. That's very much what I was like. But I wasn't as clever as her. If I'd have been as clever as her, I would have been, you know, genius. She's a lot cleverer than I was. But I was definitely that kind of little girl who constantly thinks they've got everything wrong and then ends up with 110% and everyone wants to kill them or kick them.
What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, everybody. So it looks like J.K. Rowling got a new book out. Okay. She absolutely wrote a book on this situation regarding Emma Watson, man. This is a long tweet. All right. A very long tweet. And we are going to read all of it because basically we did the video the other day where Emma Watson was coming out trying to find a little bit of grace with the situation with her and the J.K. Rowling feud. All right. She was trying to find that middle ground. J.K. Rowling is like, I'm not going for that. Nope, I'm not going for that chick. And I'm going to show you exactly where she flipped. And she said, nah, it's over. All right. All right. Because this chick is disingenuous. She's not real. She's fake. She's phony. That's basically how J.K. Rowling is looking at it. Deadline had this headline right here. J.K. Rowling attacks ignorant Emma Watson and reveals the secret letter that shattered their relationship. Yeah, we're going to get into that, man. Look, J.K. Rowling is like gloves off. All right. The gloves are off. We're done. I'm done with the games. Because Emma Watson, you came out here and you did this little interview where instead of talking to me directly, you want to talk around me, you want to talk about me, but you could have actually made a call to me and had all of this conversation with me before you went and put it out there in the media, you know? So J.K. Rowling is like, look, that's it. That's all. Let's go ahead and set the record straight. Let everybody know what's cracking, what's really happening. And the video that I put at the beginning of this video with J.K. Rowling basically describing the creation of the character of Hermione and how much of herself she put into that character. I think that has a lot to do with the way she's feeling about this situation as well, all right? Because it probably feels like the ultimate betrayal, like the character that most emblematic of me, of who I was when I was a little girl. That was Hermione Granger. J.K. Rowling put a lot of her own personality and thoughts into that character. And so for Emma Watson, okay, to basically stab her in the back and to betray her in such a public way, you know, and Daniel Radcliffe for that matter, because Harry Potter was the lead character. You know, like I said, Rupert Grint was the only one that said, hey, that's still my auntie. JK is still my auntie. Even though we may disagree on stuff, I'm always love her. That didn't come from Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson. You know, so I find it really interesting. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's chop into this brand new book, J.K. Rowling and the Destruction of Emma Watson. I'm seeing quite a bit of comment about this, so I want to make a couple of points. I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 on what opinions I should hold these days. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them. Yeah, that's consistent with what she said about, what's his name? Black Snake, Papa Essedu. She said the exact same thing. I don't think he should lose his job or get fired from Harry Potter, the television show, based on the fact that he supports and promotes trans ideology. You know, she came out and said that. She says don't fire him and don't cancel him because I myself was canceled for my beliefs, and I don't think people should be canceled for their beliefs. So she's very consistent with that. Now, he should be fired because he's not Snape. He's a black dude, but, you know, that's another topic for another day. However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. Isn't that something? That these cats think they speak for J.K. Rowling's entire universe, when in reality, J.K. Rowling is the only person that should be able to speak for the world she created. It's absolutely bonkers, man, that these cats believe that. Again, but this is why J.K. Rowling, and she's going to say it. She's like, you know what? I kind of held off but it seems like the gloves is coming off now. When you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of children who needed to be gently coached through their dialogue in a big, scary film studio. For the past few years, I've repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically, most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as a result of anything I said, even though she has zero problems going out there and slamming J.K. Rowling. Emma Watson, that is. Emma Watson had no problem going out there and speaking very publicly on this woman, but J.K. Rowling always tried to keep it professional. It's like, no, I'm not going to have this young lady hounded, all right? Maybe she's too young. She doesn't really understand what she's getting into, to what this situation really is. And she actually goes on to explain it. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech. And in truth, that was a turning point for me. But it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained the single sentence, "I'm sorry for what you're going through. She has my phone number." Boom. This part right here is the crux of it all. She has my phone number. You ain't got to send some little single word note, saying you're sorry for what I'm going through. You're not sorry at all. You fake and you're phony. If you was truly sorry, you have my phone number. That's basically what she says. Give me a call. If you really meant it, if you was really sorry, you would call me up and say, hey, really sorry about what you're going through. I'm going to tone down all of my rhetoric. I ain't saying nothing no more, because that's how you show people you're really sorry about it. You can give them a call and tell them, or you can come out in public and not talk about them. And basically, when people ask you, you say, you know what? I don't really want to discuss that. She's entitled to her own views. Kind of like what Rupert Grint said. Hey, that's still my auntie. That's still my auntie, regardless of what is going down, and I'm always love her, but we might have different views on certain situations. And I think J.K. Rowling would be 100% down with that. But being that you think you got to cater to this mob of people that want to basically castigate the person that gave you a job, okay? After she gave you work, after she gave you an opportunity. Remember, she was very instrumental in the casting of all of the characters in the original Harry Potter movies. It was her. She was like, I get to choose. She made Emma Watson a millionaire, and she'll never have to work another day in her life. That's what J.K. Rowling did for this chick, and she is ungrateful as hell, saying, oh, well, I don't believe in the shit that she's saying, and she's out here publicly demeaning and castigating the person that put her on. When she has her phone number, and they can have a conversation. They have a relationship. So yeah, this is just wild shit to me, man. This was back when the death, rape, and torture threats against me were at their peak, at a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. She said, you got my number, bitch. Give me a call. Don't pull this, slide her a note. Let her know how I feel. No, get on the phone. We got a relationship. Don't push me through your handlers with a little one-line note. Call me up, conversate with me, talk to me. That's how people do it. That's how adults do it, man. Like other people who've never experienced adult life, uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. She has no clue. Because again, when you've lived real life, you understand, I can't deal with shit like this. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed on a mixed-sex public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed-sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service, to find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who's identified into the women's prison? She says, you don't know what life is like. Women go through this stuff, and you're angry at me for trying to stand up for all of these women's rights. And you're out here calling me out in public and telling me how wrong I am and how I'm a witch that doesn't deserve your mercy, or whatever the hell it is that she was saying. J.K. Rowling is 100% right. She's 100% right. I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. Boom. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. Fuck. That's a bar right there, bruh. She's hitting her where it hurts. This chick, you don't know shit about me. You don't know nothing about my life. You ain't walked in my shoes. How can you dare speak on the things I'm speaking on so publicly and vehemently? Especially when you could just call me on the phone and have a conversation. See, what I think happened is Emma Watson got linked into the Hollywood, and you know what happens when you get linked into Hollywood. She got linked into the Hollywood bubble, especially probably when she went over and did Beauty and the Beast. Again, I'm just speculating, of course. I don't know any of this to be true. But when she went over there and she did Beauty and the Beast with Disney, you know, I wonder what her tweets were like at that time and how everything started to change thereafter. Because it seems like after she got with Disney and did Beauty and the Beast, she really started going super ham on J.K. Rowling and all of her views in regards to, you know, women's rights and trans ideology and all of that. So, you know, you get over there with Disney and, you know, they cook your brain up. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to girls or women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might not have ever been this honest. Yeah, see again, J.K. Rowling saying I was holding all of this back. I wasn't going to say all of the stuff that I'm saying. But now that she's out here talking about how she loves me and treasures me, well, if you treasured her, you never would have said the shit that you said. And you wouldn't have said it if you did want to apologize and pull it back. You would have called me on the phone first. Now, you would have had a conversation with me and said, hey, you know what, JK, Joe, mom, auntie, you know, whatever. I'm sorry, you know, and I'm going to come out and I'm going to start making different statements in the public, but I wanted you to hear it from me first. That's how an adult handles shit. Not the way Emma Watson handled it at all. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, then assert their right to the former friend's love as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is rightly free to disagree with me and indeed discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right and I finally decided to exercise it. Boom. If you got beef, then go talk to your peoples directly before you go public with it online. And now Emma Watson might be trying to reach out to JK. Oh shit, I'm so sorry. I should have called you first. She might try to do all of that. But I feel like it's too little too late. JK Rowling sees through her. She sees right through her. And I think we all kind of saw through the whole situation at first. She was like, again, the way she was even saying those words, I said it then. It's like she's trying to like tippy-toe around this situation instead of just saying, hey, look, the threats against JK Rowling's life were wrong. 100%. I completely condemn those actions. I disagree with her on certain fronts, but by no means should her life be on the block. All right. Go ahead and take her out, kill her, do whatever you want to do with her. By no means should her life have been threatened. And I think that's what she needed to say, but she needed to have that conversation with her boss first. All right. With the woman that put her on and gave her all the love in the world and made her a multimillionaire. Bruh, it's crazy right now, but hey, it is what it is. So shout out to J.K. Rowling for calling people to the carpet. Bruh, if you got beef with J.K. Rowling, you need to get on the phone and talk to her before she make a Twitter post. Before she come out there and say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to start talking about all kind of folks since you guys want to talk about me. I'm going to start bringing it up. And she goes ham. She wrote a whole goddamn book on this situation. This is crazy, man. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about it. Go ahead, jump down in the comments, give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.